الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا وحبيبنا وقرة أعيننا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله الله تعالى إلى كافة الإنس والجن بشيرا ونذيرا وداعيا إليه بإذنه وسراجا منيرا وبعد فأوصيكم وإياي بتقوى الله تقوى الله التي لا يقبل غيرها ولا يثيب إلا عليها. قال الله تعالى يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We thank Him for this blessed day that He has given us and the health of our physical well-being, of our spiritual well-being, mental, and all the well-beings that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for afiyah, and that He does not trial us in any way because we are weak and we are not able to get through the difficulties that will come our way. And it might be challenging to us even with our faith. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the people that were trialed before us. In Surah Al-Buruj, the surah that we all know and most of our kids memorize because it's in the 30th juz, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath of the constellations, وَالسَّمَاءِ ذَاتِ الْبُرُوجِ, by the heaven, by the sky that has its constellation with its constellations. وَالْيَوْمِ الْمَوْعُودِ, in the day and by the day that is been promised. We have been promised that we will come back to life, and that's يوم الجزاء or يوم الحساب, يوم التغابن, يوم الحشر, يوم القيامة, and many other names that all have its significant meanings to that day. يوم الموعود, the promised day. وشاهد ومشهود, and Allah takes an oath of Friday and Arafah, the 9th of Dhul Hijjah, or Arafat, the place where the Hujjaj get together. قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ, the people of the trench were killed. النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ, that blazing fire that was just not a fire, but it was a huge, humongous, blazing, burning fire. إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا قُعُودٌ, when they were around it sitting. وَهُمْ عَلَى مَا يَفْعَلُونَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ شُهُودٌ, and Allah knew about those people who were afflicting upon the believers And in this surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about affliction upon the believers, injustice or tyranny or dhulm against the believers. And further, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَتَنُوا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ, that those who trial the believers, whether it's burning them, killing them, assaulting them, bombing them, killing their kids, children, men and women, all of those things. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَتَنُوا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ ثُمَّ لَمْ يَتُوبُوا. Look how merciful Allah is. Look how much Allah loves His servant. This oppressor, this dhalim, this person who has transgressed against humanity, Allah is saying, if they make tawbah, if they repent, if they come back to me, I will forgive them. ثُمَّ لَمْ يَتُوبُوا. Allah put that restriction. Shart. ثُمَّ لَمْ يَتُوبُوا فَلَهُمْ عَذَابُ جَهَنَّمْ. They will burn in the fire of hell, fire of Jahannam. وَلَهُمْ عَذَابُ الْحَرِيقِ. And they will have a punishment of burning. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ. Those who believe, again, iman, faith, عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and they do good deeds. Just saying I believe and that's my faith and I go according to my faith, faith is just not enough. Because faith has to be declared, it has to be testified by deeds. Right? You could say whatever you want to say, but your actions speak louder than your words. So عَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ لَهُمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promises them their promised land, as they were promised a day. The promised day in the promised land is Jannah for us. جَنَّاتٌ تَجْرِي مِن تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارُ. Rivers running under them. ذَلِكَ الْفَوْزُ الْكَبِيرُ. That's the grand success. This is the greatest success. The story of the people of Al-Ukhdud, the people of the trench, that was lit up with fire, big fire. It was the people in now the Yemen, Najran back then. This tyrant king wanted everyone to believe in him, and he had these different strings, how he used to pull and manipulate his people. And he was a person that was just a tyrant. And he had a magician who would give him advice of what's going to happen and so on and so forth, or a kahin, soothsayer. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this story had happened about 70 years according to some of the Mufassirun, 70 years before the Prophet ﷺ's coming. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to test the believers at that time. And these stories are not fairy tales. These are real stories. Because we believe in the Quran. We believe in what the stories that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran and what lessons that we can take. And therefore, after mentioning the story, the message is very broad. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ فَتَنُوا الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. Very broad. Didn't specify that particular people or that particular king. However, he wanted people to control people, and he had this old magician that was getting really old, long story short, that he said, find me a young man who can take on your legacy. And they found this young kid who was a smart kid, and there was a lot of potential in him. And the king assigned this kid to go and learn from this magician, and he would go to learn. And while he was learning, he was kind of thinking that, this is it. This is the biggest thing. This is my achievement. This is going to be my career. This is where I'm going to make name and fame and wealth and whatever. And then he met this rahib. A rahib is a person who gives up everything for Allah and worships God. And this rahib had the knowledge the true knowledge of Allah. And he was a true follower of Jesus, Isa alayhi salam. And he was a true believer. And this kid happened to stumble upon this person and started to talk to him, and he got influenced by him, and he started to come to him often on his way back and forth. And eventually he figured out that what I was going after, or what I was trying to achieve, this big name, I'm going to be the advisor to the king, I'm going to have this throne, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have this wealth, I'm going to have this following, I'm going to have this influence on people, because I'm such a smart kid. He realized that's false. It's just temporary. And this person, this rahib, this rabbi, this priest, what he is saying, it seems more true. And he started to follow him. He believed in him and believed in his teachings. But he had to fulfill the requirements of going to that magician. So it happened so that he's to get laid on both ends home at the magician, and he would make excuses. Eventually, one day he was walking and he saw a line, and he picked up the rock and he said, "This is the time to see." He wanted to get to that point where he has conviction in what he is planning to believe in. And he throws a stone. He said, "By the name of the Lord of that rahib, if his tradition is correct, kill this lion." He threw the stone and he killed the lion. And everybody was watching, and because that lion was an obstacle for people's traffic, and everybody saw that, and people said, "Wow, he is who he says he is." And he started to become famous, and people started to come to him. And eventually, instead of giving them the false knowledge, he started to teach them the right and the true knowledge. And he said, "If you believe in what I believe in, I'll make dua to the Lord who gave me and made me who I am, and you will be cured, and people will be cured." He became a miraculous kid. And he became famous, and the king thought that, said to the magician, "Oh, your kid is doing well, he's getting there." Eventually the word reached the king, and the king summoned the priest, and there was a advisor to the king who was blind, and that kid also cured him. So they brought him in and brought the kid in, and he said, "Return to the tradition, the religion that I believe in, otherwise I'll kill you." And they said that, "No, we won't." The oppression starts. He kills both of them. The advisor, he also was a big person in the kingdom. He was killed. And that priest was also killed. And he said to take the kid and throw him off the mountain. One time he tried to go up there to try to throw him off. And he made dua. He said to, "Oh Allah, oh Allah, by the Lord of that priest, protect me and take care of these people. Ikfinihim bima shit. Be sufficient for me from these people." And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took care of them. They fell off the mountain, and he came back walking to the king. The next one was the ocean, take him in the boat and drown him. And he came back, again walking, and he said, "What happened?" Each time he said, "They're all dead. I came back. Here I am. What are you going to do?" He said, "Then you tell me how to kill you." So he told the king how to kill him. And it's not suicide. He was making a point. He was making a point by giving his life, right? Just like Malcolm X, when he went for Hajj and he came back and he knew that, time is coming close. And he sensed that people are after him. He never gave up. Became the shaheed, the American authentic shaheed. This kid said, you have to take an arrow from my quiver. And you say, "By the Lord, the name of the Lord of this child, Rabbi hadha al-ghulam." And then aim the arrow at me, and you'll be able to kill me. And he said you have to say it out loud in front of everyone. He brought everyone in. Everybody was watching, and he did what he did, and he killed a child. Abdullah bin Tamir. They say that in time of Umar Faruq radiallahu anhu, they dug part of the place, and they found this kid, and he had his hand, and he had a ring, and he said the ring was Allah Rabbi, something similar to that. And he had his hand on his side of his face, and as they moved his hand, the blood was coming out. So they knew that this was the kid that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about in Surah Al-Buruj. However, that sacrifice, steadfastness on the deen, steadfastness on Iman, what happened? Most of those people that were there, just to see what's happening, they knew that that was a really true statement. And all those people accepted Islam. They became Muslim of that time, following Isa alayhi salam. And it didn't end over there. It didn't end by those 3 lives. It continued. The king said that, build a fire, ukhdud, put a big fire. And he said, whoever doesn't return back to my religion and leave the religion of this kid, he will be thrown in the fire. All of them said that, that's fine. Until they were thrown one by one, one by one. There was a lady that was carrying a child, and she was hesitant because of the child, not because just of herself. And that kid spoke. There were 4 kids that spoke in their infancy. One was this kid. And the kid said to the mom, "Isbiri fa innaki ala al-haq." Be patient, because you're on the true path. And she was also thrown in the fire. What isn't it for us in this story? It's the difficulty that we see now and then, day in and out. We see all the difficulties that challenge our faith. We are in a very good situation. People have done a lot more than us. People were tried a lot more than us. And they, just for that short period of time, they entered the faith and they were thrown in the fire. Just for that short period of time. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep our children strong as we are sending off our kids to school. A lot of our kids have already started school. Some are going to regular public schools. Some are going to college. Make sure that they know that faith is their strongest point. And they'll be tested at some point. Small or big, you don't want to be tested. That's why I started off with asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for afiyah. You don't want to be tested. You don't want to be in that place, because it's going to be very challenging. Challenging to your faith, challenging to your family, and so many things. And we are not able to, in many times, to keep up. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us afiyah. But anything comes our way, think about the people of Ashab al-Ukhdud, the people of the trench. How did that kid was so strong, was able to talk to that tyrant? Be strong. Teach your kids to be strong and steadfast, and to make sure that they be the best. Right? That kid wanted to be the best. He tried, and he became the best. After almost 100 years, Allah showed the live body to the people. It is recorded in history. That kid, Allah made it a sign of steadfastness, of himmah, of istiqamah, being strong and steadfast on what we believe and what we practice. Trials are going to come your way. You have to be strong. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us strong on our faith, our kids, our family, our generation, our progeny. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات ألف بين قلوبهم واصلح ذات بينهم واهدهم سبل السلام. جنبهم الفواحش والفتن ما ظهر منها وما بطن. اللهم فرج هم المهمومين. اللهم فرج هم المهمومين. نفس كرب المكروبين واقض الدين عن المدينين. اللهم اشف مرضانا We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give shifa to all those who are sick in our community, especially Brother Abdul Raqib, who's having his procedure as we speak. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give him shifa and afiyah, speedy recovery after that. All of those who are sick in our community, Brother Abdul Rahman Rifa'i and others, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give them recovery, give them shifa and afiyah. Allahumma inna nasaluka al-afwa wal-afiyata fi dunya wal-akhirah. Nasalullah al-azim, Rabb al-arsh al-azim, an yashfi mardana. اللهم إنا نسألك فعل الخيرات وترك المنكرات وحب المساكين وأن تغفر لنا ترحمنا وإذا أردت بعبادك فتنة فاقبضنا إليك غير مفتونين عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله